few things on crossing midnight. Again, we're not going to be heavily hitting that topic. We've done that the last couple of training sessions, but sure, feel comfortable if you need to reach out to us. Anything we can do there, we'll definitely help out and touch more about that. Also, non-maintenance or supplemental help in their documentation with that. There's a couple of links on documenting work we'd like to highlight again, kind of show you what those, just a reminder what those look like. We'll have Jess will be kind of highlighting those for you all. And then we're going to dive into some training data. I'd like to have a good amount of time on that to highlight some things that we have got going on with all things training data, and then some potential changes for our timing for next month's training. So that's kind of what we want to do in this next several minutes. And again, please, as Tommy put in there, anyone with you who needs credit, please make sure you add their names to the chat. And also, please, if you would, make sure you throw some questions out there for anything we can do to help. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Tommy. He's going to highlight a couple items. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes.
Good morning, everyone. As Michael mentioned, we're going to start here with our fleet images, something that we rolled out recently. I'm actually showing you this in UAT because Michael found a bug in the upload process this week in production, and so we're getting it fixed. But we'll show you, for whatever reason, it is working properly in UAT. But really, our point is we want to show this to you, and we want to encourage you guys to get your fleet images and stuff. This is something that we gave supervisors, assistant supervisors, the ability to do for your building. So I'm here. I'm an impersonating supervisor, Mr. Blair here. And you can see that there's a new button over here called Upload Fleet Images. You don't have to switch over to the View Image mode to use this, but for this purpose, I'm going to go ahead and show images here real quick. And I'll show you. So we have a piece of equipment here. Mr. Blair has a piece of equipment here, 10521, that doesn't have a photo. I am in the test environment, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to upload fleet image. It's pretty simple. I'm going to put in that unit number, 10521. It's going to pull it up, and it's going to recognize that he has that piece of equipment assigned to the building. So I select it to acknowledge it, and then I'm going to select fleet image. That's going to pop up. For me, it's pop up my pictures. I'm going to grab a piece of non-fleet here. I'm just going to throw it in there. For this example, you'll see that it loads the JPEG up, says it's uploaded, and we can close it out. Now we go down here to 10521, and you can see the new photo is there. It really is that simple. And we did a survey a few months ago. Randall and I sent something out to supervisors, I think maybe crew leaders and above. But we asked, did you guys use these images? Did you find them helpful? And it was overwhelmingly yes. Because when we rewrote this to kind of modernize this piece, as we're going to be doing for all of MMS, so we wanted to make sure these images were valuable to you, or did you guys just use the grid? And it was overwhelming. Everybody said that they liked the images and that they did, in fact, use them or find them useful. So it's that simple to add one. All I have to do is go through the same process here. If I needed to delete one, I'm going to take this back out because this piece of equipment doesn't go. I'll just click the upload images again. I'll put in that same number, select it from my drop down, and then I'm just going to delete that fleet image. So if you accidentally put the wrong one in, you'll get a pop-up here saying image deleted successfully. Close that box out, and that photo's back to that default. So it's really simple, and we do encourage you. The consensus was they found them useful. So if you need any help, we will get that fixed in prod pretty quick. It's got to be something simple. For whatever reason, that uploader is not working in the production environment only. So any questions related to that? Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, quick process. You guys say it's useful. All right. I'm going to jump over to shift schedule. We're getting ready to, I'm using the word modernize, but we're rewriting all of MMS. And the next thing up that's going to be coming in January or in December will be the shift schedule rewrite. So I'm going to get in there. I'm still impersonating Mr. Blair. We've been using his org a little bit. I have been for practice this week. The one thing that you're really going to know difference, the only real feel that you know difference, is that you're going to see um, the shift schedule, so you can view your employees, and you'll see that it shows you the days of the week that TRS has. And so what we were finding is when they were adding a shift or editing a shift, sometimes, especially in that night shift, the days of the week didn't match what TRS days. So I just went in to edit one of the shifts. You can see everything looks a little bit different, but it's all the same: start day and month, end day and month, start time and month, end time, or start time and end time. And then you check the days of the week. This schedule, again, it's test. We've been playing with it. It's a Wednesday through Saturday, and we have 3 people on this shift. But the key here, the only real new thing is this new TRS days. So whatever shift you're working needs to match what it says in TRS, or you'll throw an error when you get ready to document or to review and submit. Everything else is pretty much the same. It has a little bit different look and feel to it, but the process is the exact same. This is the only real new piece is TRS days. We think this will help when you guys are setting up your shift schedules. You can see what TRS says versus what you're wanting to do. And if TRS is wrong, then you just have to reach out to your folks, get TRS set properly, and then to match your MMS. But you will have errors if these days of the week do not match your TRS days. Michael, was there anything else there that we wanted to highlight as far as the new when the rewrite goes out?
No, one of the things sometimes comes up is that you'll see when you go to submit time, sometimes you'll see something that'll come up that says, MMS shift schedule does not match TRS shift schedule. So every morning at like 6 a.m., we get a upload of exactly what TRS has in it, what employees, their pay scale, their job title, and which org they're assigned to. And then that becomes the live data in MMS for that day. If TRS says that that employee is a 5x8, well, they're a 5x8. It really doesn't matter what MMS says. If we have a 410, I mean, TRS is the one that drives that because you've got to match that. So even in some cases where those don't match, it's okay. But again, encourage, like Tommy's saying here, you can go in advance, set these up in advance. They can be ready to move. I think the majority of our districts have now went to 4 or on 5x8s. I believe maybe we got one district that's not changing here until after Thanksgiving. But anyway, anything there along the shift schedule? One other issue I think, Tommy, we come across occasionally is if we have a building that only has a supervisor, no assistant, so there's only one. We refer to them as security level 3. Uh, they're the only ones who can actually set shift schedules. So we've had examples where a supervisor has retired and now all we have is maybe some crew leaders, or we have a supervisor off for an extended period of time. Superintendents can always do everything the supervisor can. They can come in and set shift schedules, but the crew leaders won't be able to. So there's really only about 4 or 5 things, and this is one of them. As shift schedule is something that is basically a responsibility for that assistant or supervisor, but superintendents can be kind of a backdoor for that. All right, that's good. Thank
And
you,
they
Michael.
can
Tommy.
always reach out to us, right? We can help them out.
Absolutely.
If no
Yeah,
one's available, we can do it.
you bet.
Yes, and your payroll person in each district also can work on those shift schedules as well if they need assistance. I also want to remind everyone that, if we get in the TRS cutoff time and TRS isn't matching MMS, remember you would be using that add flex on in MMS, and that you may have to use that from time to time, but we would prefer that you set your schedules according to what TRS is. So in those tight time frames or deadlines, you do have the ability to use AdFlex.
Absolutely. And that was not just your imagination. That was Cherie Menendor's voice there. Cherie is back with us for 1,000 hours. It's going to be helping out with some stuff there. We're doing stuff on the maintenance division. So, yeah, please, like I said, reach out to us anytime. We'll help take care of those pieces of information. All right. So let's talk a little bit about work plan. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we'll kind of dive into this a little bit. I've brought up an example work plan. This is Ozarks for this. You'll notice for 2025. Okay, so let me kind of actually step back. I want to get to how I got to where I am here. Again, work plans are one of the items that only supervisors, assistant supervisors can create. So crew leaders can go in and look at this, they can see the information, but they're unable to create a work plan. We've got some of our buildings where maintenance management has decided that it would be the right thing for a crew leader to have access to that, and we've done some things like that. But this is, again, one of those roles starting with a supervisor. Some of our districts, superintendents have been the ones initially that built work plans, but I think pretty much as a whole, we've really kind of got that to where the assistant supervisors are kind of the main ones doing the entry piece in here. We want to be collective. That's a big part of this. To be successful in this, we believe we've got to get multiple people involved. That could be to the extent of needing area engineers involved. We need to make sure our payment specialists are looking and reviewing. What are we doing? How are we spending money? What's that look like? So I sent out an email. This would have been, let's see here, on the 12th, so about a week ago. Copied supervisors, superintendents, again, just kind of giving a heads up. The thing you guys want to remember, your 2025 work plans, it's a calendar year, are due on Friday, December 13th. We basically will take and we'll look and see compared to previous years as a whole for an entire district. So I'll take all of Central District and say for pipe replacement on a 5-year average for material cost, are we at least 90% of that planned? It just keeps us in check to make sure that we're doing things correctly. The next item date you want to be aware of is that the calendar year 26-27 need to be approved by January the 17th. We need all three of these ready so that usually the 1st of February, we are sending a letter to FHWA to approve our plans so that we can start another federal reimbursement with them for our preventative activities. So let's just talk about a few items that we highlighted. Work plan. When we're thinking about this, the first one here is just to try and make sure does locations look correct. So I went to the work plan map. I've turned on that 2025. I've turned on all these different activities. And now just kind of looking at a distance here, this is something to start challenging yourself. Do these make sense? Is this where we intend to do work? You might prefer to handle that kind of maybe just one activity at a time. I could completely understand that. If we want to just say, hey, for asphalt pavement repair, does this look and make sense? Okay. So for instance, like 14, if you click on that route there, it's going to tell you they plan on putting about 700 tons on that route. When I look at this, well, I think what makes sense is that they're not overlaying this entire route, but they do plan on intermittently laying mix across that whole thing. That'd be great, right? No problem. You'll notice that when I click on it, even this section of 14 shows up over here that they selected. What we want to caution everybody is don't pick an entire route when you know you're only going to work on a certain section of it. That'd be an example like, say, Route T over here. Notice on Route T, they really just picked a section here. They didn't pick that entire route because they really have a pretty good idea. That's where they're going to be working at. And they're really not going to be working on the rest of the route. So just keep that in mind. Bring those in. You're going through and editing those at this point. Make it representative of where you believe your best guess is of working on a route location wise. The next item that you want to be mindful of is make sure that when you look at some of this grid information, that we don't potentially have some stuff maybe that we picked that's not fully filled in. So let me explain what I'm talking about there. Go to your grid. Okay, so now we're going to go into work plan grid. As a supervisor, it usually opens straight to this grid page. Superintendent, you'll start with a summary page. District management will do the same thing. Go ahead and pick your 2025. I would load all activities. You could do an activity at a time if you so desire. And then look at your page and just see, is there anything that's potentially kind of missing here? So I'm wanting to, we'll zoom out just a little bit here. Do you have any pieces of information that's not fully filled in? And what I'm saying, you've got log points, you got date ranges, you got activities, you got estimated money, PAs. You know, some activities we do don't really have PAs on. So like this 414 down here, some vegetation right on that one there. I don't think that activity's got a PA on there, right? But we've got money, we've got location. So just make sure you visually have looked through your plan at that building level. Does everything look like it's thoroughly filled in? It is very easy to start an activity and get caught up with a phone call. Something else has happened. Life happens, right? And you just didn't get to finish everything. You didn't get your material picked. You didn't get your everything kind of squared away they want the PAs put in. Just make sure that everything is clean and clear. Make sure you look for duplications. You could do that, search on different activity or location. Just make sure that that represents that that really is what you intend to do. The next item that highlighted was we also want to make sure that we look at date range. Okay. So when asked about work plans, frequently one of the first questions asked is, well, what do you mean we're creating a calendar year work plan? We talk about fiscal year all the time. That's right. Calendar year is how we create work plans. This is what we're going to do in a calendar year. But wait a second, my money is about fiscal year. That's why the date range is so important. We encourage you all, when you think through an activity, so let's think about in Ozark, and I'm just going to bring up asphalt here, okay? When you think about asphalt for your building, the first thing we ask about doing, again, is that your superintendent, district management has had to give you some kind of idea how much money you have. It's got to start there. You got 200,000, you got 300,000, whatever for asphalt, or you got so much for a pipe, whatever it might be. And you've looked at the needs, right? The first thing you look at is there going to be some contract work on a route, right? We got to get it done. You guys get that? Is this road starting to unravel? Whatever we need to do. So you start with what's needs I've got to do, and then you're going to say, but when can we do the work? You'll notice for Ozark, the majority of these look like they're going to start that work after July for next summer, but they got a couple routes. Route CC and Route T, they plan on doing that before June. Now, think about when you're going to do the route. Is it something, you know, man, we got to hit that first thing in the spring because we got something coming? Hey, we're sharing resources with a distributor. It's going to be later on. Once you have that decision, so like this one, Route CC, they've decided we're going to do that work on Route CC before June here, July. And what we're going to do is when we do this work, it's about $15,000. If I use a date range that ends by the end of June, I have just taken all of this estimated money and I've put it into the physical year that fits that date. Had the supervisor at Ozark said, well, I think we're going to work on CC anywhere from May to October, we'll take that $15,000 and we're going to evenly distribute it per month from May to October. This is how you connect back to your fiscal budget. When am I going to do the work? I think I'm going to do the work in May. Great. Awesome. Okay. Pick May. The next piece of challenging yourself to be even better at budgeting and planning is, when am I going to buy the material? I had a supervisor in the Southeast called me last week. Thought it was a great question. He said, I'm working on my plan for 2025. I'm working on pipe. But some of this pipe I already have. I mean, it's already been bought. It's sitting there on my lot. What should I do? Plan the pipe locations. He's going to start working on it here in February, but don't put a material cost in because you're not going to buy it. It's already bought. But he still needs to maybe buy some bedding material. He still might need to buy some coal mix to put over top of it for pavement, right? So think through then, when am I going to do the work? And when would we buy the material? When would that look like? If you don't know, ask. Ask that superintendent, ask that district management. Help kind of figure out those pieces of where that goes. That's how you get work plans to fit into a physical year. If your date ranges look like everything you plan says March to October, my challenge is you need to go back and rethink those. Okay. We cannot be perfect. We get that. But you're setting up, where is your cash flow? This is exactly what we're using for zero-based budget. When the Northwest District looks at, well, how much money are we going to spend on pipe? Well, this is the tool they'll go to, right? That doesn't mean they're going to solely make their decision here, but they can come here and say, hey, by what they've planned and when they plan to buy the material, this makes sense of how we need our cash flow for the fiscal years. The next item we highlighted in the email is material cost. Staying on the same concept here, you'll notice that they've got $70 a ton for hot mix, $3 a ton for emulsion. These unit costs can be edited. When you build your work plan, when you're on that materials page and you're in here and I hit my 2-minute mix, you'll notice, see how even this show starts at 67.38 instead of that 70. That 67.38 for Ozark is the average current unit cost for inventory commercial coal mix. Put the number in there that as a district, as a superintendent area, you've been told that's what we're doing. Hey, this next year, let's put $72. Let's put $70. Let's put $58. Put that number in there. We made an improvement for this next year that when you change that, it's actually going to ask you, do you want to apply that to everything right there? See, it's saying, hey, do you want $67? Well, I don't want $67. We already got it 70. I'm going to cancel out here before I mess up the work plan. So look at those. Be realistic. Please don't worry about trying to be perfect. Okay. It's just best as you know. Side note, notice on this page right now, it's like, how do I get past this page? Often you need to go to this top right, hit those 3 clips, and zoom out a little bit sometimes. This will happen on our incident reporting pages sometimes. Sometimes you need to be out a little bit to get the page so you can see the close or the next button. That does happen on some of our pages. We really try to address that when we build it, but different ways of resolutions and how we use our computers does impact those views. All right, so date ranges, material cost, and that was kind of the main things on the work plan piece there. So we've got some of our districts have been very much ahead here. A couple of districts have got almost all their work plans for 2025 approved. Fantastic. Look at those. Make sure that they make sense. Look at your contract work and how all that kind of plays over on top of different items there. Any questions about work plans? Anything come up there that we want to touch base with? All right. Striping work plans or striping crews. You guys build your work plans in the TMS application. That's where you need to be building those. Again, it's all of our majors, all of our regionally significant, a third of our minors. That's kind of that plan process. You need to have those squared away again, probably by late December, maybe that first week in January. But what you do in MMS is it's mainly just material cost, So, Roy, I'm looking there at St. Louis. That's kind of what Dusty does. Is he just in the MMS side? He's just getting them estimated material costs for paint and beads. That's where I need you guys to be at on work plans for striping. Encourage you all. think about your money, because all of this budget, work plan, all that tied together. Are you spending money on signing? Well, maybe create a work plan for it, right? I think Central District's doing a really good job here. They started pushing this last year. They don't know exactly where every sign's going to go, obviously, right? So they'll just say, hey, on average, we're spending about $30,000 with signing materials, and their location, they just pick their building. I think that's a great use because it helps start creating work plans for our budgeted expenditures. So challenge yourself. When you think of your budget, where do you spend money? Are you spending money on mowing? Now, I want to hit mowing for a second. As a whole, the maintenance team or the MMS team will enter your work plan for mowing. All we're doing is just basically trying to come up with what would it look like for 3 mowing cycles. We put a little bit in material expense. So when it comes to mowing, well, we've got you there, right? We'll take care of that one for you. But when it looks at if we're spraying, right, or if we're doing some edge drop off, or if we're doing signing work, think through those different things. Some of your buildings, you guys are responsible for paying utilities. Maybe that's something you want to look at. All of that can tie into helping understand a zero-based budget. So that's good stuff there. All right. Let's go to our next item. I'm going to go in and talk a little bit about crossing midnight, but before I do that, though, I do want to stop and just see any questions, comments, concerns anyone might have before we kind of transition away from work plan into just a little bit about documenting work. All right. Share my screen with you again here. So you'll notice out on our banner right now, we got a message out there. And this, if outside of winter operations, we tend to run across more issues with crossing midnight, just someone accidentally hitting the box. I don't think anyone's intentionally doing it, right? And particularly with crews that are assigned. So we just recently had a crew last week that was working, and an employee just accidentally hit crossing midnight. And when you do that, you really kind of make everybody on the crew look like they crossed midnight. So it's been fixed. It was fixed yesterday afternoon, so I really can't go and kind of show you that. But what I do want to just bring out is supervisors, when you're on review and submit, okay, that page is always going to show you people who had somehow intentionally or not selected crossing midnight. Now, this example we had, it looked like on Thursday of last week, it looked like there was 3 people who crossed midnight. Well, when you look into the pages, there was only 1 who accidentally hit the crossing midnight, but all 3 of them highlight on review and submit that it was crossing midnight. So again, I'm not going to have that visual to show you guys, but it's going to be very obvious on your review and submit. It's going to be orange. You can say kind of a dark yellow. It's going to have the letter CM after it. And this is really where you need to start. Now, I believe we're all human. I believe we just often are pushing things, sometimes maybe the last moment. But if anyone on this cruise done crossing midnight, that name's changed to a different color, there's a CM after it. I mean, it's very obvious. Don't approve that day if you know full well then people didn't cross midnight, because it's going to make a problem. It's going to mess up everything, right? I get it that it is, hey, if there's not some kind of message, then this day's good. I can move on. Probably the majority of the time that is true. But please, we feel like the best process always was assign work, assign everything, leaders, work zone people, do everything on assigning, equipment, do all of that. Have a lead person. The lead person takes ownership that my crew documented correctly, because for that leader, they'll see everybody, everything's there. And then you can have this ability to just kind of building up across the page that, hey, everything's good. That leader for that crew last Thursday they would have seen it on theirs. Wait a second, what's going on here? This looks weird. Bring it to that supervisor's attention. If you have assistants, they're looking at it. Just do not go past the page when something's crossing midnight. If if we know that that's happening there with that, and because I don't like not being responsive to you all, but there's going to be times that we cannot fix it immediately. It's just gonna play out that way. Okay. So here in a few minutes, I'm gonna come back around. Jess is just starting with us. I'm gonna have her highlight a couple of our links on the documenting labor page, just as a reminder here for you all. But that has more to do with, again, documenting, just being aware of our documentation. We've done a lot of classes. Tommy, if you want to, you guys can. If you want to throw another one of our videos, past videos on Crossing Midnight, throw it out there. Use the ones. We'll put the YouTube videos on there. Those are the best ones. Do the non-maintenance Crossing Midnight, Put a couple of those in our chat. That'd be good. You guys can reference those. Today's discussion more was just about awareness, right? Awareness of watching what you're doing and what that's looking like. Okay. And it's going to look sometimes kind of squirrely. I think what this employee did last week, they had their normal day, just like this gentleman here is. Somehow in that process, they checked that crossing midnight and they hit next. They just did that. Okay. Wasn't intentional, accidental. And by doing that, it really messes up a lot of stuff for that crew. As a supervisor, they're just going to see, hey, it's 10 hours. It will show in Review Smith, though, that was yellow and cross midnight. But again, if we only focus on, well, there was no messages and everybody got 10 hours, it's going to happen to you. You're going to approve something that locks up the next day. So just please be mindful. Watch out with that. Kind of be careful there. So I'm going to talk about just a little bit on our non-maintenance. And then, like I said, I'll have Jess share her screen here in a second about those links. So this is a maintenance employee, right? Mike Kiefer. It looks very obvious, normal kind of stuff what he's documenting, kind of straightforward and pretty easy there, right? But if I jump out up here, we got a couple of supplemental help that push snow in Ozark. And so if I was to be one of those individuals, okay, and I need to actually go see one of their names first here to remember. I do encourage all of you. This is going to tie into our training discussion here in just a second. I appreciate those who have already done this for your entire crew. But go do it today. Assign every single person on your entire building winter operations. MMS is going to tell you the people that are missing stuff, right? I mean, right here, it's just, Mr. Tim's missing stuff, right? I mean, he should miss stuff. He came in as a new employee back in May. He hasn't taken snow removal. I mean, you will know ownership of that information. Please go do it today. See what they're missing. All right, I'm going to come in as one of these guys. Let's come in as Chad Berry, and then I can kind of show you again. Just one more reminder. Their pages look different. Chad Berry. So Chad's one of our construction inspectors. He's going to come help us in winter operations. I think Chad is maybe even new to doing this. I think he came over during the snow drill day. They've been interacting back and forth. But there's going to be a winter event, right? And he's going to show up, and he's going to be in a place where he's documenting his time. And again, many times, right? Just the way it kind of works. He's going to be working with one of our crew members. They're going through the day, but when they get to the end of the day to document, and Chad comes in here, all of a sudden his page is just going to look different than what your normal maintenance person looks like, right? It's like, What is this regular responsibility? I don't have that. Right. Because Chad might have spent this morning doing inspection stuff and came over at lunch. Okay. So it's the same thing for everybody. We always ask, when did you start work and when did you end work? If Chad worked 7 to 7 today, that's what he did. No different than what our maintenance personnel do all the time, signal lighting. Calculate your hours required to work. It really sometimes is best on these guys to say no. The RDIF does not work well for supplemental help. It just doesn't very good in that situation because we really don't know what their shifts are. Right? We don't know if those guys are normally starting at 6 a.m. or 7:30. We don't know. But then add that activity. So they only have the choice between two activities: winter operations or cleanup. And now what they're going to do is basically they're telling you, well, how much time out of today's 12 hours I was physically here did I push snow? And it could have been that, well, I spent 8 hours pushing snow, but the first 4 hours of my day, I was actually over in the construction office doing my regular responsibilities. So just be mindful that page is going to look different. Um, and how that plays out there. Okay, so just be careful. Oh, it should have been add hours. And when they look at that, just like me, they could have got that kind of goofy, right? So the time there, 4 hours this morning doing regular responsibilities, came over 4 hours there, and then the remainder of it would have been that hour at hours. So that's where we make them step through that step of, well, what part of your day was regular? And that helps us account for trying to calculate the cost of their overtime and what that looks like in MMS. But again, Tommy and those guys, they can put a link. We've got YouTube links out there for our non-maintenance personnel and how they document and how they look at time on that information there. So all right. So that just again, short touch base with that. I'm going to turn it over to Jess, let her share screen. And she's, again, just going to be a reminder of a couple of our links we have on documenting work, kind of how they work, how do you get some information from them. Jess?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jess Gobin. All right. So I'm sharing my screen now, and I have it where documenting work is. And right here next to calculate hours, there's two links. One of them is for crossing midnight help. And if you click on that link, it'll pull up the document of crossing midnight, kind of walk you through it if you have questions on how to go about that. Otherwise, the other one is for holiday help. So if you are working over a holiday and you don't know how to report that time, here is a guide to how you can document that work as well. So just remember, you have those lovely links right there to help you out whenever you're submitting your time.
All right, fantastic. So thank you, Jess. You're going to see Jess more and more as the months come along here and her knowledge grows more with MMS. So one of the questions about holiday, and so Jess highlight, you can go click that holiday help. Sheree helped us build these. They really have not changed in several years. They're pretty straightforward, but I can tell you, one of our Brian out in St. Louis had sent me a note yesterday wanting to talk through how to switch a holiday, how to handle that. And I'm with you. That's one of those kind of weird deals. And I go back to this. This is where I go to. So when you ask me about holiday, I'll go back to these step by steps and I'll be okay. I'm moving my holiday because it's not something I normally do, right? So again, encourage you to take a look at that. Unfortunately, I was in a place I didn't get back with Brian yesterday, but that's hopefully those kind of deals can be good. And you know what? Give us a call, right? We're going to do everything we can to help. But this this is where we go to also to help remind ourselves.
And if you are unable to make that call, and you don't want to leave a message, feel free to send us an email as well to the MMS team email group, because there'll be several that can then reach out to you when it's convenient for everyone to then respond, or you are able to read it at a time that maybe you get back to your building. So keep that in mind as well.
Fantastic. Yes, thank you. Some people will sometimes just individually send us emails, or I'll get a call on my phone. That's great. We don't have a problem with that. What it does set us up is that there's just times I got caught up in other things, and the last thing I want to do is miss and not help somebody. And so doing the email to MMS team, sending a Teams chat to MMS team, those are all really valuable of helping us not miss something because that's not what we want to do. So good deal. Okay. So I am getting ready to kind of transition into talking about some training information. Does anyone have any questions up to this point? Anything we've talked about for, say, shift schedule? You got some new people coming in. You got getting ready for different shifts for the winter. Anything about maybe crossing midnight? If you want to touch base on something like that, that's great. Anything winter-based or work plan? Any of those particular items you'd like to ask about before we kind of move into some items on training? Okay. So, what I'd like to do is go spend some time a little bit trying to connect some more dots with our training data and some things that we have here. So I'll kind of share my screen with you all, and we'll dive into that a little bit here. Okay. So I'm going to everything basically when we finished up ladder license leave. Majority of that effort was finished up back in kind of April, because we did kind of the last part of career ladder then. But this summer, we experienced our transition with movers, and so we had a lot. I mean, our team has been very invested in just training data now for quite a while here, and working with our safety management team and kind of all that connection. And so kind of all of it is really kind of coming together all at one time. And that world is all under this ladder license leave, a part of it. Okay. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay, Roy, I'm going to jump in as Roy Mize up in our St. Louis district. Roy's got our signal, our striping and signing crew up there. And I'm just going to kind of show you at a supervisor level what this can look like again, just to help jog some of our memories of the connections we're making with training. So Roy comes in here again. We got everything about ladder license leave here. I'm going to first.
You clicked on Ron, Mike.
Well, I did. Hey, well, Ron would like for me to highlight his too. He said, "Sure, right." Well, thank you. Yeah, you guys tend to get that all the time, right? Wrong Mize. There we go. So here we go, Roy. So come in here to ladder license leave. Again, Roy's a supervisor. There is different access for a supervisor versus crew leaders. When you think about training, so if we put our hat on, we think about training, career ladder. A lot of times that's going to be a direct connection. Are you an engaged supervisor? So I'm going to first start with probably one of our frustrations here coming from the field is I got a call from a crew leader recently who said, you know what? I just recently came into this position. My supervisor has said I'm responsible for training for my building, and I cannot see anything but my own. And he's right. We do not, by our business processes currently today, we do not give access to crew leaders to everybody's training records. That is a supervisor. It's basically really, do you do their engage? So we've got assistants in there. We got supervisors in there. I don't know. At some point, we might be changing that. I don't know. But right now, it doesn't work that way. So in Roy's case right here, Roy's got to come in here and he can see everybody. Now, an employee can always see their own. So I'm going to start first with kind of this license piece again. So Roy comes in. The page loads, again, you'll notice it starts with driver's license. This data is really good. Guys, sometimes when you're doing a signing work, you're going to get alert on somebody has an issue with a driver's license. Immediately come over here. You're going to know when was the last time we got data from the Department of Revenue. We get uploads about every Tuesday. Now you'll notice we haven't got an update since 11/5. Hey Tommy, that's good. We might want to kind of check in on that one. I hadn't seen that, so we're running almost 2 weeks now without getting an upload from those guys. So we might want to check on our file and see, because it should come in this afternoon, this evening. So that might be a good point just to be aware of. But we get uploads every week from the Department of Revenue. Our HR personnel can enter out-of-state personnel into here. I mean, this is really powerful to keep up with what is our training. Do you have CDL, expiration, all those endorsement stuff? The second item or tab is professional licenses. This is where your herbicide should be residing at. I ask everyone who has a herbicide license, the employee theirself needs to come into here. They'll click herbicide license and they're going to enter some of their own information. So if Roy had a herbicide license, he'll come in, put his own license number in here, expiration date. It's going to verify that that matches what the Department of Ag has, and then we'll have in one place everybody's data for herbicide license. Mark Offenberger, he's one of our central office maintenance personnel. He's using this to see globally what do we have on our licenses, and can encourage everyone and make sure your employees have done that who have those herbicide licenses, and then training courses. So this is everyone in 6F73, and this is everything we have for them. You can make this page larger by adding more rows to a page if you want. You can search. So I could do something just kind of like, I could put the word dump truck in here, and I'm going to pull up any row that has dump truck. Some of these course numbers look really weird, guys, and this was some new naming information that we did with movers. But at the end of the day, this should be everything that we have on every employee. So if I was to look at Roy's here, okay, here's Roy's transcript. This should be everything that we know about Roy, all right? And you can put it on different dates here. So it goes back to 2017, all the way through current day there. You can customize columns. Some of you guys want to know some more stuff. Like you might want to know, well, I need to know my credit hours for training, or not for training, but for as a supervisor. So Roy has 21 hours as of this fiscal year. You can add title in here. So there's some things over on this column chooser that could be helpful to you in different pieces. But it helps that this should be everything. So Roy, I don't think it's fair that you've just automatically memorized every single thing that your building has ever taken. And that's not fair. But we can start looking through it and start thinking, okay, does this look right? Have we missed something? Do we have our spring meetings in there? What is it? When there's something missing here, Central Office Safety Training Group. So that's Michael Todd, Jenna Vaughn, Brad Meyerhoff, I think, and then Ryan. There's 4 of them. They're putting this information in. Get a hold of them. Hey, by all means, still touch base with your district safety health officers. Whatever your district's told you, stay with that. But I can tell you that at the end of the day, that group, they're the ones that's getting information into here. And at this point, we have everything, okay, as best we know. Please always be skeptical. We do not want to say we have everything and we're missing something. If you have stuff that's missing, make those inquiries, have those conversations. Hey, I've turned that thing in 15 times. I'm sorry. I really am. I think that's extremely frustrating. But we take that photo of that transcript, the safety team, central office safety training at modot.mo.gov. They want that information. They'll actively take action on that. Make sure that information is in here. So why is it important? Because we take this and we attach it everywhere. Okay. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to go to, I'm staying with Roy's career ladders. Where do you think we're getting career ladder data from? Training, right? I bring up an employee who's getting ready for a career ladder advancement, and you can go in here as a supervisor and you can see everything they've had, and it's going to fill in from that training information. Same thing as career ladder is the assigning alerts. When you go today, and you again, best practice, every person who has a role that we've listed out, could be work zone coordinator, could be flagger. We're talking about some new ones there. Maybe we very easily are having discussions with our safety management there that we think we need to do something else, maybe on a couple of roles. They're meeting this week to talk about that. Are you welder? Do you have a herbicide applicator? Right. Use those roles. What is people TMA operator? Pick your equipment, dump truck, backhoe, whatever. Assign all of that. Force MMS to tell you who is missing something. And when it tells you something that you know is wrong, then follow up with those questions and ask about it. What does it look like? What is it from? All right. So that also goes to your safety uh, page, right? So when we go over to safety management and we look at the safety dashboard, all of that is also going to there, because we can say everybody who reports to Roy, and this is actually jumping out statewide, but every single employee based upon their job title has required courses, and have they completed those or not? All of these things are intermixed together. They all have implications, and it starts with, is something missing? Please look at it. And I would say we have some of our safety personnel here on the call today. I appreciate y'all. I sent them a bunch of emails just this morning with some information that now can be captured in MMS. And I encourage you, we need to get the winter thing squared away. Okay. We need everyone to be correctly accounted for. I think our supplemental help probably are some of the most difficult ones to chase down. Do they have everything? What is missing? We just created a gap report within MMS to help with our safety group. Some of these questions have been next to impossible to answer, and they've been doing everything they can. And so we're trying to help with some tools like that. So I'd like to show you one of those things. You guys have access to some of this too. If you click on reports, always be mindful. Our Power BIs, we feel like this is just kind of an added benefit of understanding everything we do. You can go into those Power BIs. There's information out here. The page usually loads on this TMS data, but particularly we're putting a lot of focus right now on situational awareness. When you open up situational awareness, this is everything about a winter awareness. The first overview is, how are we doing as a state? How many incidents? We've already had some people have been injured, probably in our snow drill, or just working on getting things ready. Right? It tells about our salt, where we're sitting at salt. It tells us about how many trucks are currently available right now. How many? This is idle. We have the ability. Our DMEs can come in and say, we're going to staff 100% during the day and so much at night. Helps us let us know how many trucks will sit at night. As of right now, out of all of our snow pushers, about 23% of them, 24% of them have less than a year experience. Now, 42% have less than 3 years of experience. Employees, again, breaks down. You can look per district where every single employee is: supplemental help, signal lighting, emergency, all the way down through their fleet, salt, incidents. The staffing map, the maintenance engineers, system maintenance engineers have been helping us. This is basically saying how many people in a county per how many people or how many fleet units we have. And what does that look like, right? And this is a perfect scenario of do we have, if we had 15 dump trucks, do we have 30 people? So you can look at that. They've been kind of working on that, trying to figure out where might be those pieces that we need to move some staffing or look at, or what's that look like. But all that takes us to training. We just uploaded this Power BI on Monday, actually on last Friday. And so you can come in here and you can look at your district if you so desire. I've got the Southeast just happened to be up here because I think that's something I was looking at the this morning early. And you can pick an entire district. Actually, let's just state the whole state. So this is the whole state here. This is every single person that is responsible for pushing snow. We got supplemental in here. We got signal lighting person in here. Supervisors are turned off right now. We're looking against the 12 required courses. So we're not looking at emergency workers yet. So out of that 2,825, almost 1,900 have been trained. So you can kind of mess with that a little bit. You can click on this column here and you can figure out, these are the people only have one, right? So if I click on Mr. David Anderson, it's going to say the only thing that he's got is basic safety. There we go. Let's start working on these things and figuring out what it is. Is it something hasn't been turned in or entered? Very possible, right? Or it has not even been done. Addressing those pieces. So you can look at your building. You can come in and look at your particular org. So for instance, I'm going to take a look at the Ozark building, 7G39. They've got for their building, let me there's slices here. For their building, they've got a couple of emergency personnel, I think. They've got some supplemental help to push, but they also have some special crew personnel who come in and help out. Okay. So right now they got 22 people on the list. 18 of the 22 are fully trained 100% for everything. If I kind of click on this column here, I can put myself in order to figure out the ones who don't. So there's a couple of new guys here. Both Tim and Kyle are both newer employees that, again, they're missing that snow removal. But we have some couple others, right? So if you click on that employee's name, you're going to see these are the things that they have completed. So what else are they missing? What do we tackle and take care of? This really is the same exact thing you're going to get. Should be, if I went out today and just assigned everybody in my org snow removal. The piece that's a little weird is that this Bailey Billups, he is a regional bridge employee. So if you think about, like, Roy, let's go back to you up in St. Louis, right? Almost your entire crew probably pushes snow somewhere else, right? So they all go somewhere else, but are all of your employees have they all completed everything according to winter operations? Well, go assigned it. Put 913 on your entire crew and figure it out. But those people have all been pushed to another building, and that's where they operate out of. We got to make sure, we got to spend the time, see where these things are falling. Again, be skeptical of the data and make sure that you agree something's missing, needs to still be entered there. Okay. Well, how in the world did all the time go by? We're just having that much fun, right? Any questions come up that we need to address here before we finish today? Okay. Hey,
Michael,
yeah,
I
Tommy.
do want to quickly point out we're going to be moving December's training session up.
Yes.
Due to the holidays. So you guys will get some meeting reminders, and then we'll be creating all new schedule, new invites starting in January. So we're going to move December. Just heads up. You'll get some invites, and then we'll reset the series up in January. So you'll get another fresh set.
Okay. Hey, everybody have a great day. Enjoy your weather. We won't get to see you. We probably won't be seeing you much next week with Thanksgiving. So I just hope everyone has a safe and enjoyable holiday. Be careful. Take care of yourselves out there, and we will see you. Adios.
Thank you.